team at SUNY Ulster for being such gracious hosts. And on behalf of College President Dr. Alan Roberts, welcome everyone to the beautiful Kingston Center of SUNY Ulster. You see, this facility is very special, and I'm extremely proud of it because its sole purpose is to improve access to higher education for more people than ever before. And as someone who was the first person in their family to graduate from college, I can't help but identify with all those students who, because of this facility, will now have the opportunity to become the first person in their family to graduate too. And for some, maybe, just maybe in the process, a real chance to break the cycle of generational poverty and change the trajectory of their entire lives. You see, in many ways, I view the success of this project as a microcosm of how my administration tries to work every single day. It started as an improbable idea that has become an amazing reality because of the hard work and dedication of so many wonderful partners. And that's why, as we create the county budget, I focus my team on three very specific points. First, ensuring high-quality essential services for everyone. And second, embracing innovation and change to make sure the American dream is real and available for everyone. And last but definitely not least, protecting our hardworking taxpayers, some of whom are simply trying to make ends meet. And I'm pleased to say that this budget delivers on all accounts. It ensures more services than ever before with greater access to the American dream for the people of Ulster County, while it cuts property taxes yet again to their lowest level in over 4 years. But in spite of that, we are also very mindful that many Americans still believe that government in general costs too much and delivers too little. And so we strive to make Ulster County very different. And in the process, we've delivered massive reforms and moved our entire county from the brink of disaster to one of the most fiscally sound counties in the state. But I also know that everything we've accomplished could easily be washed away by elected officials who failed to remember just how bad things really were. Because the reality is, in New York State, property taxes are still too high, so our work is far from done. You see, pre-charter, from 2002 to 2007, the combined Ulster County property tax increase was 115%. That means the amount of money coming out of our property taxpayers' pockets more than doubled over that 1 6-year period. And to understand the magnitude of this statement, this slide clearly shows the direction Ulster County government was headed before we took office. The pre-charter spending trend was taking us from a budget of roughly $345 million back in 2009 to one that would have fast approached $400 million by 2016 if we had done nothing. And that level of spending would have required an enormous amount of taxpayers' money to fund. And unfortunately, this is the kind of out-of-control spending that was going on all across our state, resulting in double-digit tax increases that were breaking hard-working New Yorkers, driving people from our state, and ultimately forcing Albany to pass a law limiting how fast taxes could go up. And while most local governments have focused on meeting what became known as the 2% tax cap, my administration has always viewed the entire problem very differently. You see, the tax cap still allows taxes to go up. And I was much more concerned with delivering tax cuts for hardworking families who desperately needed property taxes to go down. And so, unlike typical governments, my administration took on the difficult and sometimes controversial choices and reinvented county government. And as a result, our property taxes in Ulster County are actually lower today than they were all the way back in 2012 when the tax cap first took effect. And we haven't stopped, because I'm also very aware that it's much more than just county property taxes that are impacting our residents. It's the combination of town, city, and many others that have become so burdensome. And so in addition to lowering your county property taxes, since 2013, my administration, in partnership with the legislature, has also provided over $22 million in property tax relief to our towns and the city of Kingston with its takeover of safety net and now election costs. What that means is, on top of lowering your county property taxes over the last 4 years, we've also provided an enormous infusion of financial relief to our towns and the city of Kingston to create a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for multiple governments to now lower your other property taxes too. And we didn't do it alone. As a community, we're incredibly fortunate to have an amazing county workforce who do so much for so many every single day. And that's precisely why I am thrilled that my administration has made sure that 100% of all Ulster County's unionized workforce, over 1,000 hardworking men and women and their families, now have the security and peace of mind of a fair and respectful contract. And even with all these contracts, plus our ongoing efforts to ensure more services than ever before, Ulster County government still costs less today than it did all the way back in 2009. I'd like to repeat that. Ulster County government costs less today than it did all the way back in 2009 before my administration first took office. And because of our efficiency efforts for 2016, we've cut wasteful spending even more, this time by over $4.5 million. And that means over the last 4 years, we've reduced overall spending by an unprecedented $32.8 million. That's $32.8 million that my administration has put directly back in the pockets of hardworking Ulster County taxpayers. And to continue protecting our taxpayers today and long into the future, this budget once again puts dollars aside in our highly responsible tax stabilization reserve. We should also note that we have reduced the amount of general fund balance needed to balance this year's budget by over $3.8 million compared to just last year. And with our commitment to doing things differently, we've achieved the highest bond rating Ulster County has seen in a generation, and the State Comptroller's Office has once again listed us as one of the most fiscally responsible counties in all of New York State. And that's wonderful, but the bottom line is this. I stood before you last year and I made a promise to the hardworking men and women of Ulster County to lower their property taxes. So for 2016, Ulster County property taxes are going down again, this time by almost $1 million. And as important as it is to lower your taxes, and it's very important, the county budget is so much more than just that. It's also a detailed spending plan that sets priorities and ensures essential services for those among us most in need. It's a roadmap that provides a safer, healthier, and more prosperous quality of life for everyone. And every step of the way, we look to save money so that when unexpected issues arise or critical investments are needed, we're prepared to act immediately. Like midway through 2015, when the RSVP program, which serves over 400 seniors and 39 local not-for-profits, was in danger of closing because of an unanticipated loss in funding, my administration was able to step in with the resources and save this critical program. We faced a similar crisis with our Meals on Wheels program, which provides an essential source of nutrition for so many of our most vulnerable seniors. But because my administration and the legislature have partnered on fiscal restraint, we have the much needed resources, and we stepped in not only to save this valuable program, but also to make it even better. In fact, not only does guarding taxpayers' dollars allow us to save programs like RSVP and Meals on Wheels when they are in danger, it also allows us to expand essential services for everyone, and especially our brave American veterans. And thank you. And so in this budget, in addition to all the services we currently provide, we are expanding the number of outreach personnel to help veterans in more remote areas, and we will now deliver completely free legal services to any veteran seeking the federal benefits they've earned and so justly deserve. And for our veterans and their families, we're continuing to fund valuable programs like the Patriots Project and other special and meaningful initiatives like upgrading our county veteran cemetery and ensuring military gravestone markers for all those who have served and passed away. You see, the reality is this $330 million spending plan touches the lives of virtually every Ulster County resident. It's about our seniors, veterans, children, and everyone else, and it's about providing greater access to the American dream for everyone. And we do this in part with one of the largest county contributions to our community college in the state. In this budget, that means over $6 million. It's also about helping those in our community who are most vulnerable, making sure that things like warming centers are open so that no one finds themselves out on the streets without a hot meal and a warm place to sleep on the coldest winter nights. And it's about making, absolutely. And it's about making sure that people who are victims of crimes have all the compassionate services they need to begin the difficult process of putting their lives back together. It's also about funding creative solutions, like shelters for both victims of domestic violence as well as their pets, so that no one stays in a potentially deadly relationship simply because they're afraid to leave their pet behind. Thank you. And for 2016, in addition to the over $1 million already dedicated in the county budget to fund major efforts to help individuals and families dealing with the national tragedy of heroin addiction, we are expanding the fight. So I'm pleased to say that in this budget, I've dedicated a significant amount of additional funding to strengthen our prevention efforts in accordance with the UCAN, or Ulster Coalition Against Narcotics recommendations, in part to fund a special family advocate to help devastated families as they struggle with both reluctant insurance companies and complex state bureaucracies. Thank you. You see, as a father, I know these families are fighting for the lives of their children, and we are committed as a county to making sure they don't have to make that fight alone. I also want to personally commend the Ulster County Legislature for their added focus on this serious national public health issue. And I believe we must use creative approaches to ensure additional permanent funding is available. So with this budget, I am also proposing legislation that dedicates 100% of all revenues Ulster County receives from any newly licensed medical marijuana dispensary be used to combat the scourge of opioid addiction that's affecting far too many families all across our country. On top of that, we're investing $100,000 of county money to replace lost federal funding and save the highly successful 180 Youth Diversion Program that keeps juveniles, some of whom have serious substance abuse issues, out of our local justice system and providing them a real opportunity to turn their entire life around. And you see, we cover such a wide array of issues for so many different people. So in this budget, we are also investing in a unique and desperately needed program to help some of our most vulnerable seniors, individuals who, with no family and nowhere else to turn if they become ill, our seniors, some of these seniors are facing the frightening prospect of checking into a hospital all alone. Now, through our greatly expanded Meals on Wheels program, they'll have a trained professional care coordinator by their side to assist them, not only with their hospital stay, but also when they leave, to make sure their transition home goes safely and smoothly. You see, this kind of innovative and compassionate program is unique to Ulster County and makes a huge difference in the lives of our seniors exactly when they need it most. Because the county budget is so much more than just numbers on a page, and that's why my administration takes it so seriously. You see, a strong budget and a solid financial plan allows us to tackle long-standing problems that many believe are impossible. Like last year, when we began addressing the serious national infrastructure crisis caused by decades of insufficient state and federal funding. And the truth is, Ulster County and every other county in New York were facing a recipe for disaster. Many of our roads and bridges were built back in the 50s and 60s and were never designed for the volume, weight, or pedestrian needs that we now have today. In fact, most of Ulster County's bridges were engineered when the largest vehicle expected to cross them was a simple box truck, not the fully loaded 36-ton tractor trailers of today. But unlike most other counties, our restructuring efforts have allowed us to act and take meaningful steps to reverse this troubling national trend. And so in 2015, my administration unveiled the largest infrastructure investment in Ulster County's history, a $15 million initiative we called Building a Better Ulster County, one that funded much-needed upgrades, creating safer roads and better bridges all across our county, including safer school zones for our children and improved pedestrian access everywhere, more than doubling our typical road repavement plan in just 1 year. You see, we didn't just want to recreate what we had, we wanted to improve our entire infrastructure system from the ground up. But we are far from done, because the problem of crumbling infrastructure has been decades in the making. And so I'm very excited to announce that my administration has once again dedicated over $15 million more in 2016 to fix our roads and bridges. To be clear, that means my administration will have made a massive 2-year, $30 million infrastructure investment to help address this national crisis at the local level and build a better Ulster County for everyone while still lowering your taxes. You know, we should also never forget the huge additional benefits that come with this type of investment. Our county's increased infrastructure spending for 2016 will positively impact over 200 jobs for hardworking men and women and their families too. You see, economic development comes in many forms. From our $514 million tourism industry, which continues to grow at a record pace, up 20% or $87 million since we restructured operations back in 2010, to our agricultural industry, which is a $500 million part of our economy too. There's also emerging sectors like our tech-based business and advanced manufacturers, where many high-quality jobs are being created every day. And last year, Ulster County's Office of Economic Development helped almost 400 valuable local businesses and non-for-profits who employ thousands of Ulster County residents, and because of their efforts over the last 4 years, they've helped secure over $28 million in state CFA money to help grow our local economy. But there's still no question, even with all of that, our work is far from done. We must all continue to focus on improving access to high-quality jobs and the number of jobs as well. And as we do, we must continue helping chronically unemployed individuals as well, out of the system and into the workforce. So this budget once again funds our successful Career Ladder program that delivers on-the-job training as well as work readiness assistance for individuals currently on public assistance, while it eliminates impediments to employment like daycare and transportation, and I am pleased to say this program is working great. You see, our economic development efforts continue to lead the way, like in this year's Ellenville Million Initiative, where we identified valuable components that can now be expanded county-wide, like a soft landing fund to defray some of the expenses associated with engineering and other pre-construction costs for the development of new businesses, costs that would otherwise become major obstacles. And this kind of economic development tool creates a competitive advantage that resonates with national site selectors as they search for places to locate new businesses and create even more jobs. Another component of the Ellenville Million that we're expanding countywide is grant writing assistance for small businesses, from Saugerties to Wawarsing and from New Paltz to Woodstock, because in the highly competitive world of New York State economic development funding, this kind of assistance for our small businesses can make all the difference between success and failure. You see, the stakes are high. Like when Zumtobel, a lighting company in Highland that has more than 200 employees, was at risk of leaving not just our county, but our country as well. My economic development team worked diligently to secure the necessary resources to create the competitive advantage that Zumtobel needed to stay. We coordinated the IDA, Empire State Development, Central Hudson, and SUNY Ulster, and as a result, not only did Zumtobel agree to stay, but they've committed $6.4 million of the company's own money to upgrade their current facility while guaranteeing more than 200 full-time, high-quality Ulster County jobs long into the future. That's precisely why we invest in economic development. And when we cut through all the rhetoric and the political nonsense, the New York State Department of Labor facts are clear. There are over 2,000 more people working in Ulster County today than there were back in 2009, and our unemployment rate has been reduced from almost 8% in 2009 to 4.8% today, and that's huge progress by any measure. You see, but with all the different facets of county government and the long list of essential services we provide, as the county executive, I still believe the highest priority for any government is to keep its residents safe and secure. In case of fire, we all desperately want well-trained and well-equipped fire departments on the scene immediately. And if you're the victim of a crime and seeking the justice you deserve, or simply want to live and raise your children in a safe and civil community, then you fully understand the value of a well-trained and well-equipped sheriff's department. And when there's a medical emergency for either you or someone you love, a fast and professional response from a well-trained and well-equipped EMT is exactly what you need to avoid a tragedy. And during Hurricane Irene, Tropical Storm Lee, and Superstorm Sandy, we all witnessed firsthand the courage, selflessness, and critical importance of all our amazing first responders. They do it all, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and in the background, there are yet more talented and unsung heroes, like the dispatchers of our Emergency 911 Center and Ulster County's entire emergency services operation, always there when you need them, making sure that help is on the way. Together with our police, firefighters, and EMTs, they are part of a dedicated system of public safety, here to protect you, and the stakes couldn't be any higher. That's why with this budget, my administration is delivering the largest comprehensive investment in public safety in Ulster County's history. With over $750,000 in additional funding for our Sheriff's Road Patrol and nearly $3 million for a technology upgrade of our entire Emergency 911 and Sheriff's Dispatch Center, I've also included in our capital budget $1.9 million for a much-needed countywide fire training center, a facility that will be designed by our Fire Chiefs Association to benefit all 50 of our local volunteer fire departments and to help ensure we have some of the most well-trained, well-equipped firefighters anywhere. Because more than anything else we do, at that critical moment when our first responders are on the scene, making the difference between life and death for either you or someone you love, as the county executive, I can assure you I will do everything in my power to make sure they have the best training, the best equipment, and the best chance to save someone's life. You see, the 2016 executive budget delivers immediate results for the great people of Ulster County, while it better positions our entire community for a brighter future. With greater access to higher education and major investments that help grow our economy, it provides real access to the American dream for everyone. And with a massive 2-year, $30 million overhaul of our infrastructure, our roads are getting better and our bridges are getting safer. And I'm proud to say this budget continues to reflect our county's compassionate heart, with some of the largest funding levels ever for our seniors, our veterans, and those among us most in need. And with millions of dollars dedicated to support our brave first responders, we're making Ulster County safer and more prepared than ever before. You see, because more than being the county executive, I'm a son, a husband, and a father. And I know the health and safety of the ones we love are more important than anything else we do. And that's why, for me, it's never been about building a bigger government or a smaller government. It's always been about building a better government for the people. And in the process, I made a promise to the hardworking men and women of Ulster County to lower their taxes. So this budget not only delivers more services for more people than ever before, it also cuts your county property taxes to levels that haven't been seen since 2012. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us here today at this extraordinary facility dedicated to hope, education, and opportunity. And I am honored to say that with this budget, Ulster County remains the finest place anywhere to live, work, and raise a family for everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.